Great people, welcome to NameTech channel. My name is Nehemiah, and this is part 2 of Git and GitHub. We had an introduction part of it in the other video. I'll attach the link in the description. And guys, if you are watching and you have not subscribed, please do so because that's to support the channel. Basically, in this channel, I'll be sharing the tech materials or projects in tech. So it's nothing that is harmful. I'll appreciate your subscription very much, and also you can like the video so that the channel may also grow. Now, last time we introduced Git, we talked about on how you can create an account. Basically, you go to the github.com, then you can sign up. The form is just straightforward. You just fill in your email address, your name, your password, and then you just create an account. Now, today we are going to cover some in-depth of Git and GitHub. And perhaps let me try to remind you some of the cool commands in Git. So the first one is clone. Now, the clone command, this one brings a repository that is hosted. Remember, when I say repository, this is like a space where your project is stored, the space where your project is stored. So basically, when you use the git clone, this one brings a repository that is hosted somewhere like in GitHub into your local folder on your local machine. Then we have another command called status. Now, remember, the commands are in lowercase, but I'm using capital. But remember, all of them should be in small. So basically, the git status, this one shows files added, updated, or deleted and haven't been saved. Or sometimes you might add a file as well in so remember that this git status, this one shows the files that were updated or deleted and haven't been saved. So the file that were just added, it will be displayed as untracked files. So this one, it means that Git doesn't recognize those are files. You need to add them and also do the git commit. Now, talking about git add, let me add here add. Basically, the add, this one track your files and changes in Git. So you have to do the git add. For example, you have untracked files, you need to do the git add and then the file name, or maybe do the GitHub then followed by this period to show that you want to track all the file in that directory. So if you want to specify just a single file, then you have to define the file name here. So for example, if it's git add and then index, let's say index.php, then it will track this file. But if you just want to track all the files, you do you add in the period here at the end. And then now once you've added the file, you can do now the git commit. Now commit is like to save git commit. Git commit, this one saves your file and changes in Git. And then once you've saved, and then you can do now the git push. Push. Now push, this one uploads git commits into a remote repo like a GitHub. So for instance, you have a repository, then the main branch is maybe master or whichever name. You can do the git push, then origin, you define the origin, then a branch name. And then we also have the pull. Should be pull. Now the pull command, this one is the opposite of push. Now this one downloads the changes from the remote repo into your local machine. So guys, I think that these are the basic things that we are going to use mostly. And first of all, once again, let me show you how you can create a repository in Git. Remember, I said that Git is a version control tool system. So let me get to Git. To my account. So in most cases, you'll have to to sign in. You'll have to sign into your account and then verify everything before you even begin. So you'll find the place where you can is written repository, or sometimes if you can't find repository, just click on this plus operator. Just click on this plus. And then when you click on it, it will list for you. It will show you there's an option to create a new repository. So you can click here or just go to the repository. repositories, and then you can click on new. Oh, by the way, I have these tests that we were using last time. These are test repository. I don't know if I have to delete, or let me just create a new one. And then this one is, let me call it test project, a test project. And then description, you can add it here, the description, simple description, or you can leave it the way it is. And then you can leave it, if you want to make it an open source or available to the public, you can select the public. But if you want to the code just to be for your project, or maybe for your organization, you don't want it to be accessed by anyone, you can make it private. But remember, when you're making public and sensitive files, don't include your personal information like emails, password, because people can use it to maybe to interfere with your your accounts, or maybe to hack you. And then now the readme, this is like the readme is like the markdown to tell people about the project, to give them the description, a detailed description about the project. So for instance, let me check on it. I'll show you also how to do it with code itself. So let me create a repository by clicking on this button. Then it is going to create that project called a test project. So first of all, to remind you on the markdown, because I think that is the file that is added here automatically, readme.md. So this is the markdown. Now, for example, you want to edit this markdown. Let's say, let me just do, you click on it, on the file name, and then it's going to open, and then you can see it here. So you can, if you want to edit, perhaps you'll always click on this pen tool, this edit file icon. And then when you click on it, then you'll have the workspace where you can edit the files. Now, for example, just to remind you that in MD, in the markdown, when you are defining markdown in Git, so basically hash is the highest heading, or a heading one. Then when you have 2 hash, that is heading 2. And then if you have 3 hash, that is heading 3. And then if you have 4 hash, that is heading 4, or that is heading 4. And then for instance, if you want to add in the emphasis, so let me do this. Let me try to let me use some text. Let me say headings, yeah, so that at least you may understand. And then now the other thing, category, perhaps I can talk about emphasis, because I think that this one is most important sometimes. Emphasis. Now remember, here we are writing as code, or like the markdown commands, but when it is displayed, it won't list this hash, this stuff. It will list the highest heading list. It will go in that hierarchy. Now, for emphasis, you can use something like italic. For example, if you want to make something italic, so let me say italic, or let me say this statement is italic. So when you use asterisk, if you enclose the word inside the asterisk, it will be what? It will be italicized. Alternative way to italize, let me say or maybe use the underscore. Let me say this one also is italicized. And then when you'll save everything in the commit changes, it will be italicized. You'll see the display there, it will be italicized. Remember, you won't see these asterisks, you'll just see the words. And then for example, if you want to see the list, you want to include the list in your markdown, you'll use this hyphen. Then you can say, let's say list 1, let's say list 2, and then list item 3. Now it should be item 1. Let me use item 1. I think it will make sense. Item 1, item 2, and then item item 3. And then so for example, if you want to make a sub item, you'll use this you'll add an indentation there, and then here you can say, for example, sub item 1. Then for example, sub item 2. Remember, there are two categories of list. We have the unordered list, like the one that we are having, an ordered list. In Markdown, the unordered list uses the bullet points, the bullets, but the ordered list are defined. So we have also ordered list. So for ordered list is defined with numbers, like as I say, item, let me say item 1, item 2, and then item 3. So if you want to create a sub list, you can use let's say item 3.1, item 3.2, item 3.2. So this is what we call the ordered list, and this is the ordered list. Now the other category that perhaps I can talk that is mostly used, for example, you want to include in your Markdown, is the links. Sometimes you want to include links so that people perhaps they can find the website attached related to your project or something like that. So you can have also the links. It's a good idea to also know that. So to define a link, the link text, you use what? The link text you use so sometimes you can see like you have a button, for example, like these are readme. Now when you click on this readme, it directs, or let me use a website like let me just use github.com. So when I say link text, like this one, you can see this button, this text is name tag, but is a link. When you click on it, it directs you to the name tag, or this is dashboard, the text is dashboard, but the link that directs you there is what is here at the top. Let's see. So you can see now it has directed me to this site, so to this page. So basically that was just a text, but then it directs me to somewhere else. So this is where you define your links. You begin with a square brackets and then a link text, text. So it can be, I've just used an example of a link text, but it can be something like let's say name tag, or maybe explore or any text. And then so if you want, now that's the text, and then if you want to include now the link itself, it must be inside the parentheses. So in this case, I'll just use for example, use this HTTP. Let me try to zoom in for people to see better. Remember, when you are defining a link, you must use a complete URL because I realized that not all sites they have a redirect rule. Remember, some sites doesn't have the redirect rule, and perhaps if you click with the link that doesn't detect the valid SSL certificate, people can track your data, the user's data, or with that use that link. So for instance, you can see I like working with this example. Let's say you want to visit University of Nairobi website. You can see this way it is secured. When you just you can see, let me do this. Let me say HTTPS, and then now remember, HTTPS stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. When it has an S, it means that the connection is secured. So unbi.ac.ke. So when I click like this, you'll see that it has a secure extension. You can see it has even the padlock here at the top. When you click on it, you can check that it has the secure connection, the certificate is valid. You can see everything is valid. The issuer of the certificate is there. Everything is valid. But now when you forgot to include the S here at the end, let me copy and then repaste. Now when I remove this S, you'll see that it will be a completely different entity. You'll see that it won't have a secure connection there at the top. You can see here it's not secured. When you click on it, it's not secure. It's not secure. You can see your connection to this site is not secure. You should not provide, sensitive information. So so this just to put a gravity that not all links they have the redirect rule. And I remember when you submit your sensitive information via unsecured page, your data will be can be accessed easily because that connection is not secured. So for instance, let me give you in a nutshell how communication usually go. Like for example, you click on this link. When you click on this link, then the request will be sent to the server, and then the server side language will be used to look for the relevant resource. For example, when you click on this link, it will tend to look for information regarding to, or let me say, programs. When you click on these programs tab, it will look for it will send a request so that the server side language will pull the relevant information regarding to the programs. So that connection where you click on a link, then the link sends a request to the server side language, then a server side language looks for the relevant template or maybe a relevant resource, then it returns it to you, to the client side, or maybe to you use now to the website. So that connection is what we call or maybe in simple terms, that connection, when it lacks the S there at the end, the SSL certificate, it means it's not secured. So in between, someone can fetch your useful information, but when it is secured, it means that transaction is secured. So that's why it is very, very important when you are including your link, when you are creating a link, you ensure that you include everything, including this S. But remember, it's not always the case. Like if your site doesn't have an SSL certificate, even if you add in the S there at the end, it won't display because you don't have an SSL certificate. But I think Let's Encrypt usually provide the free SSL certificate. If you need it, you can try to check on the Let's Encrypt documentation, or see how you can secure your site with the SSL. So basically this is about the links. And then for example, if you want to include, for example, the images, I don't know where I can access the image, or let me just search here image. Let me just search image sample or anything. I like words, so let me use an example of whichever image that can be pleasing. Let me use from Unsplash website, and then let me try to look for one like this one. So let me copy this link address of this image, and then here, so for the links, images, so let me say images. So what was the image for? This is something like a computer. Let me just use something like a computer. Now to define a link, you begin with an exclamation mark. I hope you can see still. You begin with an exclamation mark followed by the squared brackets, and then the text, the alternative text for the image. So let me just say something like computer, and then ensure that alternative text is descriptive, so that in case your file or your image is missing, someone can know what kind of an image was there. So let me say computer, and then followed by the link name inside the parentheses, just like in the links, and then I paste the link, then you close. So basically this is how you define your image, and then we are going to see the display just in action. And then for example, if you want to add in the block code, you want to include for example code in your documentation. For example, let me just type here, let me say block quotes. So let me begin with inline. For inline, you begin with the backtick. The backtick is between escape key in your keyboard and that button in the below in the bottom. That's what we call the backtick. So that's the backtick, and then let's say Python code. Let me just use something like let me say print print hello. Hello is a string, so let me say hello world. Hello world, and then you close it with the parentheses, and then you close with the same backtick. So this one will be considered as a code, inline code. Let me just say code here, inline code. Inline code. And then for example, you want to include the block code, several codes. You can use so let me say block code block, or let me say code block. So for code block, you'll use these are three backticks like that. And then the file name, the language name, like let's say Python, and then let's say here x equals to 1, and then y to be 2, and then z to be something like x plus y, and then print should be print something like let's say z, and then you close with the same thing, with the same three pair of three backticks. So I want us to save this thing and see the display in reality in the page, in the front end. So let me just click on commit changes. Now initially when you just create a readme file, it will be create readme, but when you update, it will be update readme file. And then for example, you can add in the description here, for example, to describe what changes were made in that readme, and then all that. So once you are done, then you can click, because this is just a sample, you can click on commit changes. So commit changes, now you can see heading 1, I said, is the highest heading. Heading 2, you can see it's here. Then heading 3, heading 4, you can see it goes in that hierarchy: big, bigger, big, small, smaller, smallest. Yeah. And then emphasis, we talked about italic. So you can see the other one we use asterisk, you can see it is italicized. Then the other one we use the underscore, it is also italicized. And then for list, we define the list using the hyphen. And then for if you want to include a sub item in the list, we use the indentation. We created the indentation, then we added that hyphen after the indentation to create a sub item. The same applies to the ordered list. And then for the links, you can see now this is the link text. When you click on this link text, it directs you to that page. Remember, you have the text, and then behind the scene we have the link itself, so that when you click on the text, it directs you to the image, it directs you to the site, to that site of that was there, that was linked, the text that was linked there. So, and then we have also we also have the images. So we realize that you can have the name of the image. Like for instance, you can see this image is broken. The link to this image is broken. So when you have something descriptive here, people can know that the image that was here was a computer. But you can see in our case, because the image is broken, it won't display here. I don't know exactly what the issue. And then I'll try to check it out in a few. And then we have the block codes. Inline code, you can see, for example, print hello world. And then for block code, if you have multi-line code that you want to make people understand that it's a code, you can use that format, 3 backticks. So you can see people can copy the codes. So guys, I believe now you've understood the readme, the markdown, the basic part of it. So I'll go back, and now we have just created a repository here we've created a repository in this GitHub account. Now we want to use the commands now to pull it into our computer, basically into our local environment. So how do you do that? Now we can use a software like a VS Code or any other editing code editing software, maybe to pull Alternatively, you can just use the command line. For example, if you're not pushing the codes, you can just push your files. For example, if there are other files that maybe are not compatible in VS Code, or like you have the Excel files or any other files that you want to push, you can just do that directly via the commands to push them in GitHub. So I want us to clone this project into the GitHub, into our local environment. So once again, I'm in this page, and for example, yours might be in your profile. What you do, go to your repositories, and then select the repository that you've created. For example, this is a test project, and then what you do, you can see it will list for you the files that maybe you had, and then some the readme files here. So let me confirm if first of all it's recording. Yeah, it's recording. Now what you do next is to go to the code, or you can just use the link here at the top, but click on the code, then copy this URL here. Just copy this URL. Copy this URL, and then go to your command line tool, and you can use external command line tool, or you can use the embedded terminals inside the VS Code. To use the embedded terminal, go to this ellipse, then you go to this ellipse, then terminal, then create new terminal. Then it will create a new terminal here. It will create here a new terminal, and then ensure that you've linked your GitHub account here. So how do you link this VS Code and your GitHub account so that you may do it without straining? So what you do is just click on this icon here in the VS Code. Click on this icon, then sign in to sync settings. So click on this one, and then you can authorize VS Code to access your GitHub account. Then you click on the VS Code, and then it will take some seconds to link, and then once it's linked, everything will be okay. And then you can even confirm if it's linked here. You can see now the setting is synced. You can see the GitHub account, because my username was nametech. You can see it's nametech here. You can manage or sign out. So now if you want to clone to your project directory, first of all, let's create a directory here. So what we do, let's cd, because I want to place it in the desktop, so I can do cd to change directory, cd to desktop. It will change the directory to desktop, and then in the desktop we can create a new folder by using with this command, make dir. This is to make a directory, to create a directory. Then for example, let me say a test project. Let me just call it test project, and then when you hit enter, it will create a test project, and you can see it here. So now you can cd to that test project. So let me say cd a test project, and then when you hit enter, you can see now you are in that folder, test project. You can see it here. So in that folder now we can do it. We can clone that project there. So what I do, let me just say git clone, and then you paste the link. When you just right click, it will paste now that GitHub link. Now when you hit enter, you can see now that command is going to clone the project that was there in the website, the GitHub website, to this project. Now let's try to access that file. So go to the file, then open folder, and then you can see we have the test project. So let me click on it, and then try to open it. So you're going to see that I have this test project, and then inside it we have a readme.md. When you click on it, you can see these are the things that we were editing. But now the other thing, guys, you realize that it is open inside another folder. It's a folder opened inside another folder. Let me show you this. Go to desktop, then your test project, and then you can see that we have a folder inside another folder. So if you don't want this case to happen, now first of all, let me just delete that file. Let me delete this file. here that we've just cloned, then let me show you how you can do it a proper way if you don't want to create a new if you don't want to create. Let me close this folder first of all for it to close that folder. You go to the file, then I scroll at the bottom, then I'll click close folder, so that when you try to delete, it won't give you these errors. So now when you delete, it will be deleted. So now once again, let's get back to now the shortcut, guys, to open the terminal. When you click on this this one, you can see that it is shift plus control shift plus backtick. So next time I'll be using the shortcut control plus shift plus backtick. So now what I'm gonna do here, let me now cd to desktop or alternative, let me just do this. Let me open the project here, the folder, and let me open the folder, and then from desktop, then let me open it. Let me open the folder. So when you open this folder this way, you can see it's currently empty. So when you open the shortcut to open the terminal once again is control shift and then a backtick. Now you'll have access to this direct to this project. Now guys, basically the easiest way to use the command maybe to open the project inside the VS Code. What you do, go to the VS Code to the to the command prompt, or let me do this. Go to the command prompt, then cd desktop top, because I want to show you also how to use the command line. Then again cd test project, and then now to open the VS Code with the current project, with this folder, you'll do code, you write code, end with a period here at the end with this full stop. And now when you hit end, it will open the VS Code. So you've used the command to open that project. You can see now you have the VS Code here. So if you want to open that project inside here without creating another folder, a subfolder, what you do, click open first of all your terminal, the embedded terminals here, shift control shift, then a backtick, and then here you can use whichever terminal you want. Let me use git bash, and then let me try at least to make it a bit small, and then here I can say git should be git clone, then the link, you paste the link. When you just right click, it will paste the link. But now you realize that when you do this way, it will create another folder, and that we don't want to do that. So what you do, you add in the period there at the end. When you add in the period there at the end, it will mean that I want to clone it in the current directory. It won't create another subfolder. So when you click on enter, when you hit enter, it will create that project in this folder. You can see it has not created another folder. So guys, basically this is how you can clone, and I believe you have understood how to do that. Now, so guys, the next command that we want to discuss is git status. Now, git status, I said this one shows the files that were added, updated, or deleted, and maybe you can know if they are saved or are not saved. So the files that were just added initially without the commits, it will mean that it will display untracked file. Let me show you that. So let me do git status. Git status, you can see nothing to commit, working tree clean. So you can see your branch is up to date. You can see everything is fine, and we are working on the main branch. We haven't created another branch. We shall talk about the branches later. Now let me try to create here another file. Let me use index.html. Let me just create a basic one, simple index.html. Then let me create some code inside it. Now let me use for example, let me use here h1, then let me say hello world. let me say hello world. Then once again, now guys, you can see, you realize that for me, I'm not saving, I'm not doing what, I'm not clicking on Ctrl+S to save, because I enabled this feature. When you go to the file, then you can see mine is auto saved. Ensure that it is auto saved, so that like now, because I've unchecked, when I do the changes, you can see it displays me here at the top data I have not saved. You can see one unsaved file. But when you click on autosave, you can see the files are saved automatically. So this feature, for me, I find it useful because I always don't want to do things, manually. It's hectic. Now back to our terminal. Remember, this is now the code editor, and then this one is a terminal. Terminal, this is the workspace, or a space where you can write your text commands. But now this is the place, and now the code editor, this is where you can this is the interface for for processing the codes, writing the codes, the text, the words. This for text command, but now this one is to write the codes for your thing that you are working on. For example, if it's a website or anything. Now let's do the git status again. So these are two different entities. So this is let me try to minimize. So this is the code editor, and then this is the terminal, embedded terminal. So when you are here, you are at the terminal. When you are here, you are the code editor. So inside the terminal, I can do the git status. And by the way, guys, you realize that we had written that command up here. So for example, if you want to pull the same command that we wrote here, you use the arrow key in your keyboard that points upward to pull the previous command. You can see it pulls the previous command. Let me do this. It pulls the previous command. You can pull, you can do that. So when you hit enter again, you can see that you have untracked file. You can see it shows untracked file. So untracked file, it means that the file that was included, but it wasn't committed. So untracked file, you can see use git add, then the file name to include what will be committed. So first of all, I want to use the file name first. So now as you can see, it is introducing a new file. So a new command. So let's say git add, and then the file name is index. Remember, it also lists for you the file name. So it is index.html. Index.html, and then we've added now. If I want to check, now, first of all, let me do clear. Now when you use the clear command inside the terminal, is to clear the code so that I may have a clean file. So let me do clear so that I may have a proper workspace. But remember, they are in the history. You can pull them. Like for example, if you want to pull the previous command, you can just do the arrow key. You can see it was clear. The other one was git add index, and then all that. So once again, if you do the git status, let me again use this command to pull the previous commands, git status. Then you can see now your branch is up to date. Then the changes were made here, a new file was added. You can see it is here. It's now at the staging. So if you want to commit, you can do the commit. But let me show you something else. For example, if you have several files, for example, let's say index.css, and then for example you have index.php. So if you want to add them all the same, all without without listing file by file, you can use the git add, then period at the end. It will list for you. It will now when you do it, when you just do git add without specifying the file name, but you add in the period here at the end, it will add all the files. But now you can see when you do, first of all, let's do git status. Git status. You can see two files are not added, are not included, untracked files. You can see it is untracked file. Now let's try to do this. Let's say git and then add. Other than writing a file name one by one, you can do the git then a period here, it will add all the files that are new here, all of them, even if there are how many, it will add all of them, at the same time. So when you do git add, then a period at the end, it will add everything. Let's again do the git status. You can see these are the new files that were added, but remember they are not saved. This one just added. They are tracked, can be able to, they are in the staging environment. They are not in Git, they are not saved yet. So to save it, so it's going to introduce us to a new command, a new command called a git commit. So when you use the git commit command, this one saves your file and the changes inside now the git. So what we do, let's do this. Let's say git what should be a commit. So git commit, it will save the file, but then you want to add in the text and maybe the heading and the description. Like you can see while you were using the GitHub, you saw that section, for example, there. Let me try to get there at the GitHub. So you saw earlier while we were using this part, let's try this readme. While we are using this one, for example, if you want to save, let's try to make a changes, amendment. Let me try to remove this long link here. And then let me say image.png. And then let me try to commit changes. So you can see there's this part for the message, and then the part for the description. So you can as well do that via the code, and then I commit the changes. So the changes will be displayed there. But now with the code, if you want to add in such comments, such description, you use this is a command git commit, then -m for message. M for message. I don't know if you can try to expand it. Git m message, then inside the string, the quotes, you define now the message. So you can say new files were maybe added. So that is, and then for example, index .html, and then you can list for them, and then index .css, then index.php, and then so this will be the first part of the text there, that section of, I don't know, I closed that part, but it was that part for the description. Then the long text description goes here. For example, if you want to add in the detailed description, you can do this. You can again use the same command m, and then inside the quotes, you can say, for instance, these files perhaps are very helpful in the project. Or I can make something quite descriptive here. Then when you just hit enter, it will do it. It will save everything. You can see the created mode, save files, so changed one. So let's try to do again the git status. You won't see these new files here. So let's say git status. So you can see nothing to commit working screen. You can see your branch and origin main have diverged and have one different commits each separately. Git pull if you want to integrate the remote branch with yours. So now guys, you can see we've saved, but now this one we've just saved inside our remote directory. We've just saved inside our remote directory, remote environment, sorry. So this one is saved, but inside it's not available in Git, these changes. So when you go back to that project here, you can see we still only have that readme only. We don't have those index.html or index. Whatever it was there. So now, for example, if you want to push now to GitHub, you can see that it's going to introduce to us a new command called it's going to introduce a new command called git push. So with the git push, you can do this. You can just write git push. Remember already this account is linked. You can see the branch name here you can see it's main. We cloned this branch and I've linked, though there's a way you can use the SSH key, but to link your GitHub to your VS Code or to your local environment. But that one is, I think, quite something. I don't want to confuse people with the SSH key. So I think the best way is just to connect by syncing here. Clicking on this account, then sync your account. It will be quite easier than using the SSH key, because there's that part of generating the keys and also adding to the GitHub, and also using it inside your commands to define the private key and the public key, and also this is quite a long process. So what you do, just ensure that you link them so that when you push, it will be connected. So you can say git push, and then you can say now, for instance, if you want to always push without specifying the origin and all that, you can do you can save the upstream git push, and then upstream, and then origin. So origin, you define what the branch name. So the branch that we are working only, by the way, it is only main. So when you just say main, and then if everything is okay, when you hit enter, it will push this project to GitHub. Now guys, it's giving us this error because we added the file, we modified. Let me show you how we did last time. So what you do, like when you have just cloned your repository into your local environment, and you've made the changes. Let me try to modify a bit, and then you can see now there's new changes to made. When you commit it, it will mean that it's a different repository with what you added, because it has changes with what was there in your operating system, in your the one that you saved in your local environment. So anytime you want to do the git push, push, and then let's, for example, set the upstream, then origin to be is main. I'm using main. You'll see that you'll get what the error here. So what you do to track the changes, because it doesn't reflect what is in the other side, because it will have the conflicting issue in margin. So what you do to track the changes in the main project in the website, you do the git pull. So you say git pull, git pull, and then origin, and then we define the branch name. It is main. So git pull origin, then at the branch name, which is main in our case, it will track the changes that has just been made the other side. You can see these are the changes were made. So now when you try to do the git push, and then now you set upstream, and then let's say origin to be main. So it will push this project inside the GitHub. Now let's try to do it. Let's try to go to this project and refresh. You'll see that you have now these files. You can see these files were added. You can see these files were updated, were added. So basically, guys, this is how you can do the git push, and I believe, guys, you've understood. Perhaps let me try to make the changes and try to repeat. Let me perhaps try to create a file in the index.html. Let me first of all try to modify. Let me add in the CSS here. Let me try to link the CSS index. Should be index.css, and then perhaps in the index.css, let me add in the background color, and then let me use something like this aqua. So you can see that it is displaying M in index and the CSS, which means it is modified. Now this is the goodness of working with VS Code. It gives you progress in real time, updates in real time. So let's try to do the git status. Git status. Remember I told you that a status is to check the changes status. And then let me expand, and then you can see these files were modified. You can see these files were modified. So now we don't need to use the git add because these files were already added in the git. So what we'll do, we'll just do the git commit. Git commit, then at the message you can say, for example, maybe index.html and index.css were updated. Were updated. So when you do this, you'll were updated. Then when you hit enter, then first of all, guys, I forgot, it's a must to do the git add. Sorry guys, I forgot that one. It's a must. So you say git add to add the changes into the git, to make sure that git understands. Then you do the period if you want to make all the changes to be noted by git. Then once you're done that, let's try again git status, git status, and then you can see these ones were modified. And then we can do the git commit. Now let me pull the previous command, git commit here, and then when I hit enter, 2 files changed. Or did we push? No, we didn't push. We just made we just saved, but we didn't push. Now when you commit, it will be saved inside your directory. But so if you want to save it, you have to do the git push. So it will be git push, and then this time we'll just say git push because we've just set the upstream. So git push, and then it will push because we've done what we've just saved the upstream. So we don't have to use what those are long ones. Now this is the goodness of using the upstream, so that you don't have to repeat the git push, then origin, then a master. So when you use the upstream, it will be recorded. So now let me try to refresh. You can see it will say that our files were updated or something like that. So you can see index.html and then were updated. You can see these files are updated 1 minute ago. So basically, guys, this is how you can this is how you can modify the files. Now guys, the other thing that I want us to talk about is the git branching. First of all, let's try with the GUI. Let's try with the GUI, and then we shall see how we can do it as well with the code. So with the git branching, once you have a project, you have your project uploaded in the repositories, you'll see that you have one branch here. You can just tell it's one branch. When you click on it, it will list for you branches here, and then you can always create a new branch name here. So let's try to do this. Let's say let's call it maybe master. Let me use a master branch. But remember, master and main, they are almost the same. It means that it's like a general thing. Perhaps you can say, let me use for example, it's good to give your brand name or something descriptive. Let me just say nametech workings or something like that. Nametech workings, something like that. Then let's do the git commit. Let me use a hyphen, and then let me try to do the git commit, and save there, and then let me refresh, and then guys, you can see we have 2 branches here. So you can just tell with just looking at it, we have 2 branches here. So basically what you want to do, for example, with the code, you can see with the GUI it's just easy. With the website, the visual, it's just nice, just easy. Now with the code, guys, basically with the code is how you can do that. Now we've created one branch with the code. You can see it is listing here 2 branches. Now if you want to do it with the code, to create a new branch, you can say git a branch, then at the branch name, at the same, let me give it which branch can we give it? sub branch. Let me just call it a main sub branch. Let me just call it main sub branch. In lack of proper words to use here. So when you do this way, it will create a new branch. When you just hit enter, the new branch will be created. Now with the GUI, you saw that you can just see at it and see it display there 2 branches. But now with the command, if you want to check the branches, you can just say git branch, git a branch, then it will list for you the branches. So remember, one branch we created with the in the other end, and then the other branches we've just created here, the sub branches here. So what we can do here, guys, to change or to switch the branches. We can do this. We can do the git actually, guys, git branch sub branch in the main. So guys, I think the best way to create a git branch is this: a git maybe checkout, sorry, guys, I think that's a wrong command. Git checkout, then B for branch, and then so basically you can create a branch this way. Alternatively, you can do the git checkout, then underscore hyphen B, then you can say new branch, or let me just say name tech branch. What the other one also name tech, or let me just say name tech sub branch, name tech sub branch. This one also will create a new branch. So it creates a new branch and then it also switch to that branch. You can see now it is switching to name tech, but when you just say git branch and then a branch name, it just creates a new branch, but it sticks to the initial branch. So what we do, let's try to list the branches. So let's do git branch, branch, then you can see it lists for you, and then it shows you which one is active. So there's a git, a main, and then there's this one. So let's again try to do it to clone content into this branch, or perhaps before anything, let's try to do the git status first of all. On branch, you can see it is here, nothing to commit. So what we do, guys, we can do it. We can remember, you can do the git checkout if you want to switch back to checkout, and git checkout, and then let's say branch name is main. Want to return, you can see now at the moment is the name tech sub branch. We are working on this branch. By the way, guys, it's a good idea always to work with within the branch, so that in case you made changes that that affects your site or maybe brings the bugs, it will be a good idea, so that it doesn't affect the real branch name, the real project, so that you can always test in the branch. You see that everything is okay before you merge it to the main. So git checkout, and then you can see now it is now main. So this is how you will be changing the branches: git checkout, and then to those files. So let's try to modify. Let me do the git checkout, and then here I'll use name tech sub branch, to switch to that name tech sub branch. And then let me try to add the changes here. Let me add in, let me say color black, and then let's say git status. You can see now this index.css is now modified. Now when you do it, when you do the git because it's modified, you can do the git add so that it may be recognized in the GitHub. So you can do the git add, then the file name, but let me use the asterisk so that it can add every changes. In fact, it is the shortest way to do everything at a go, other than typing the file name. And then because we've added, we can do what we can commit. So let's say git commit. Git commit, then let's add in some notes. Then I'll say changes were made in index.css. Remember, it must be inside the quotes always. Then let's hit enter. And then so because we've committed the change, to commit the changes like to save the changes. Now we can do it, we can push. So we can say git push. We can as well set the upstream, and then let's say origin, then the branch name. It's a good idea always to say the upstream so that next time you just say git push instead of typing the entire thing. Name tag, then sub branch. I think this is spelling. So so when you do this way, it will make the changes to that branch. So what we do, let's try to check. You can see it's now reflecting these changes, has raise and push. You can see this name tag has raise and push. Then we can compare and pull the request. So you can see this is the file. We added this file, like you can see the one that is in green, it shows that changes were made. But if it's just normal without anything, it means that the changes were not made. If it's just normal without any color, but if it's underlined green, it means that the changes were created. So so you can always make the a pull request here, and then you can do what you can merge. So you can merge the changes, then confirm. But I'll show you also with the commands, with the command. So you can see now you merged the changes from these. Once you've merged the changes, you can now close what you can now delete even the branch name and all that. But I want to show you how you can do it with the commands. With the commands. Once again, let's try to add in, for example, padding 0. Let's add 0. Then margin, let's give it something like 0 again, and then do the git status. Status. You can see this file is modified. Then I can do the git add period to add everything. Then it will be added, and then it's added. And then what we do, we can now try to compare. So guys, if you want to compare the changes that were made, like at the other side, you saw that you can just see the difference between the original and the updated. So here you can say git diff to compare the changes. So the file that I want to compare with, or the branch that I want to compare with, is, let's say, main. So you can see the file that the new changes that were made here. The initial one, you can see on the other side it was displaying green, which means that these are the changes that were made. And then the one that wasn't highlighted, it was the original. It means that that file were not changed. So this is the file that were added. You can see there's a plus. So this is the file that were changed. So basically this is how you can compare. And then now again to push. But then if you want to merge, you just do the git merge. Now, so guys, let's say you want to delete a branch. You've made the pull request and then you've merged to the main branch, and you want to delete that branch. Basically, to delete a branch on the GUI is just straightforward. You can just delete. Let me try to do it. Let me try to check on the. Let me go to this project, and then basically, if you want to delete a branch, go to the branches. And then you can always do it. You can always delete here, but this is the main. You can always delete here. Let me delete like this one. Deleted. Now you can see these branches are deleted. So guys, if you want to delete via the code, this is how you do it. Just say git branch. First of all, let's do the git branch to check to git branch, or the spelling for branch. Yeah, this is git branch. And then you can see we have main, and then a main sub branch, and then a name tag sub branch. So let's delete one. So git branch, and then to delete you add in the hyphen, then a d, then the branch that you want to delete. For example, if it's main sub branch, git branch, then a d main sub branch. When you hit enter, you can see now the deleted branch. This one was deleted. This file was deleted. Yeah, so guys, basically this is how you can delete the file. Now let's do the switch. So let's check switch to main git checkout. Should be checkout, yeah, and then main to switch back to main. So it should be. So guys, I think it's a must to commit. So let me say git commit, and then message, then I say updated. Let me just say updated the description, and then let me do now git checkout, and then main. So now you can see I'm now back to main. Now guys, let's show you how you can reset, maybe undo the staging. So guys, if you want to undo the changes, for example the changes that were made here, but let me just switch back to the other branch. So git let me just try make some changes here. Let me say color to be something like even this one. And then let me do git status and then let's do the git add, and then git commit messages updated again, then let's hit enter, and then so it was updated. So guys, basically how do you undo the changes? For example, you don't want the latest commit, you don't want the latest changes, you want to revert back to the initial stage. So guys, basically to reset, you can do the git reset, and then we are trying to reset the file name, which is index dot css, right? So so let's hit enter, and then so guys, you can see it is we've just done the reset here. Guys, basically these are the useful commands that you can use in Git, and I think guys you'll find it helpful today. So this is what I had to share with you today, guys, and I really appreciate you for your time, and let's learn together. Please remember always to subscribe and share it to your friends so that they too may learn something. And then next time, this is Nehemiah. Goodbye.